Welcome to another session of BLAAH BLAAH at STAAH, and today we're joined by Hanley Chew, who is the CEO of Space Hospitality, as well as being an accomplished author of 3 great books, the Hotel Tales trilogy.
Hi, Kevin. Great to be here.
Hanley has a long background in hospitality, including some fantastic brands such as Sunway and, of course, Berjaya in Malaysia. So welcome to BLAAH BLAAH at STAAH. Fantastic. So you've got a great experience in hospitality. One of the things I'd like to know is sort of how did you get into it? Can you share a little bit of that with us?
Well, that's a long time ago, Kevin. But if I remember it really well, actually I entered the hospitality industry by accident. Yeah. I'm an accountant by profession. Came back and then joined a very established travel agent. When I joined the travel agent, and at 26, 27, at that age, I thought that I was very smart, that I could run my own travel agent. Why do I need to work for anybody? You know, at that age, it is always a very dangerous age. And so I did. I set up something on my own, and it failed terribly. I was a complete failure as a travel agent. All right, and at that time, when I lost everything, I started looking back for a job. And being in a travel agent before, as you know, you have a lot of contacts with hoteliers. And at that time, Renaissance group came to me and said, "Would you like a job?" I said, "I'll do anything." He said, "I'd like a job in hotel." I said, "But I have known nothing about hotel." He said, "We do not need you to know anything about hotel. We need your contacts as a travel agent to bring business to the hotel." I said, "I'll do." And then my first assignment was in Renaissance in Sandakan, which is in Sabah. That's the home of the orangutans. If you all know Sandakan, that's the home of those the creatures. But and the rest was history. I started with Renaissance, and then I moved on until Renaissance was bought over by Marriott. So I joined the company as well, and I moved on from there, and that's like 28 years now.
It's amazing how many people kind of accidentally find themselves in hospitality. It's almost a common theme with some of our BLAAH BLAAH speakers. So that's interesting. With all that experience, Hanley, if you had one pearl of wisdom that you would like to offer somebody coming into hospitality right now, what would that be?
I think it's either you love it or you don't. Right? If you discover that you don't like it, get out straight away. Right? And if you love it, nobody can bring you out. You know, a lot of hoteliers try to leave the industry and later on find themselves back in the industry again. Yeah. So this is a very strange industry. We complain when we are in the industry. We complain that it is rough, it is tough. We complain. But it is in our blood, it's in our DNA. So my advice is, if you think you do not like this, don't waste time, get out, all right? But if you love it, right, you will stay. And but for me, I've never left the industry. I've always been in the hotel industry since I got in, because it has become very part of me. It's a part of me now.
Yeah, it's a bit like me with hotel technology. Once I got into it by accident, and I just fell in love with it. It's hospitality is a wonderful industry with so many different angles, and you meet some great people along the way as well. So yeah, I know exactly what you mean. As an accomplished author of some really quite funny books, is there any like one little short story that really stands out to you as being kind of the thing that makes you chuckle sometimes when the chips are down?
Oh yeah, Kevin. Actually, there are many. As I was writing them, actually, I enjoy so many stories. As I mentioned to you, I came out with this first book in 2010, right? Then the second book called More Hotel Tales in 2014. And then followed by the third book, Even More Hotel Tales in 2019. Yeah, 2019, no, 2018, yeah. There are many stories, and these are all stories told by hoteliers. They are not my stories, I only write them. I started by wanting to tell my stories, but I thought, how many stories can one person possibly have? So I open it as a platform for hoteliers to share their stories and tell their stories. But there's this one story that I will always remember. Okay, and this is one story where a huge man that was stuck in the bathtub. Right? He was stuck in the bathtub and he could not get out because of because of his size. He was literally sucked into the bathtub when he released the water.
Right.
Yeah. And you would want to know how we got him out. Right? And I'm not going to give it the spoiler to you. You should read it. You should read it. I think it's in one of the first or second book. But this is so interesting. I mean, this is a typical life of a hotelier. We experience so many things. Yeah, it looks calm on the outside, but actually behind the scenes, Kevin, as you can imagine, there's so many things that is going around. We've got people drunk in the room, people having a quarrel in the room. We have got people spending a honeymoon. When I first started this book, I wanted to name the title Only the Walls Have Seen. Because truly, only the four walls of the room have seen what is really going on in there. In that same room, it could be a happy couple spending a honeymoon, and the next day it could be a couple trying to tear each other apart. So it's we will never know. So only the walls have seen what's happening in these rooms. So my favorite story really is this big guy.
Obviously, you've got a busy work life. How do you find your work life balance? What's your favorite pastime?
No, when you are in the hotel operations in the past, yeah, really working in the hotel is something that you do every day. You do not differentiate whether it is your off time or your on time, especially when you're living in the hotel. The hotel is part of you. When you open your room door, you're already at work, right? So now that I'm not in the hotel operations anymore, yes, I do a lot of other leisure things. I like, of course, Netflix is definitely on top of my list. Yeah, I'm always complaining there's not enough shows on Netflix. That's where I cool down.
Not enough good shows, Hanley.
Not enough good shows.
Yeah.
I play the piano. That's one of my way of cooling off. I chill, playing my own pieces and all. I enjoy music.
Okay.
So music, TV, that's probably what I do.
Obviously, we won't talk about the big C, but I just want to ask you, what do you see technology's role in part of this recovery, do you think? What do you see, what are your thoughts on that?
I think it is definitely going to play a big role and a bigger role to come. It's, you know, a lot of things has to be done through technology, whether it is through like what you are doing now, Kevin, you know, a channel manager, or whether it is through helping to assist the hotel operations, whether it is through the application of AI in that. Technology is consistent. Yeah, we wish that humans are more consistent, but unfortunately, you cannot get that in many people these days. Right? So a lot of humans are actually very dependent on technology. You know, and technology is becoming more and more human. You know, look at AI, right? It's becoming more and more human, and this is why I always dread to think that many hotels are trying to train their staff to be more robotic, very less human. So we are trying to do the opposite way. I'll give you an example, Kevin, why I say that. You know, every time when you check in a hotel, right, 9 out of 10 of the staff who greets you will ask you, Mr. Kevin, welcome to the hotel. How was your flight, sir? You get that, don't you, Kevin? I'm sure all the time. All the time, right?
Absolutely.
Now, do they really want to know? And I tell you, the next time you get a question like that, you answer, I had a bad flight. I had a bad experience.
See how they react.
See how they react. Kevin, I'm telling you, they do not know how to react, and they will change topic immediately, right? Now, because they have been trained by the managers to ask the guests, how is your flight? How's your day? And they do not know how to react to the response that you give them. So we shouldn't try to train our people to be robotic, to follow scripts, but we should really try to train our people to be more human and let the technology do its job. Whenever AI is applied, let it do its job. A lot of hotels are using, for instance, technology for room service, for instance, right? Personally, I still like to talk to a human voice, because being Malaysian, sometimes we like our spicy to be more spicy, right? And we want to say, you want to add a little bit more salt, you want to add a little bit more sugar. How do you do that by just pressing the button? You still need that human ear on the other side to listen to your requests.
You're a man after my own heart, Hanley. I resisted getting a mobile phone. I resisted getting rid of my DVDs. I resisted getting rid of my CDs. But technology does definitely have a role to play. But you're right. I'm a great believer in if you can talk to somebody who listens, and someone who understands or tries to understand, it's a far more fruitful exchange than just using tech. This leads me into, I guess, my next question is, and there may be some crossover, but what would you say your 3 tips, with all your experience, what are your 3 sort of tips that you would say hotels should be doing right now, above everything else?
Well, I mean, at this time, hotel is really going through a totally different dynamics. The landscape is completely changed with this pandemic that is on. A pretty sad state for the hotel industry, especially in Asia, and I'm sure in many parts of the world as well. Change is inevitable, right? And if the hotel thinks that they can continue to operate pre-COVID days, I think they have to think again, right? Things have definitely. So the first thing is really to look at the change not only in the physical attributes of the hotel, but also in the way the service is done. Hotels have always had many layers of staff. We talk about F&B, for instance. Sometimes I see a small hotel with 2 F&B outlets having a director of F&B, F&B manager, assistant F&B manager, F&B supervisors. Do they really need all these levels of people? So hotels definitely need to change. Second thing really is the utilization of space. I think if you look at the hotel structures, how it is built now, there's a lot of wasted space. And if you were to measure the profitability per square meter of space that occupied, whether it's in the F&B, in the rooms, and if that the profitability cannot match or equal, it cannot equal or be more than the rental next door in square meter, then you are in the wrong business. So I think that is the measure of space is very important. And the third thing really is to look at the staffing. I think many hotels are overstaffed, right? The luxury hotels, for instance, they still use a ratio of 3 to 4 to 1 room, right? Regular hotels uses about 0.8, 0.7. But right now, hotels can actually operate with technology, right? With assistance of technology, on the 0.3, 0.4 to
having good people, well-trained people, multi-skilled people blending that together with good technology, smart technology, allows hotels to be more profitable, whilst importantly providing great service.
Absolutely.
You know, obviously there are a lot of hotels out there that are struggling a little bit at the moment. There are some that are closed, which is very sad, of course. What do you think is going to be, and maybe it's the same as we've already discussed, but what do you think will be the key difference between a successful hotel and one that fails over the next couple of years, let's say?
Yeah, I think a lot of hotel fails to identify their target audience. A lot of hotels are built because owners like it that way. A lot of hotels are built for the owners and are not built for the guests. So,
Okay.
For a successful hotel, if you ask me, you must always start with a feasibility study. For that location, for that particular corner, for that particular street, what kind of audience are you targeting? They do not get the feasibility study right, and as such, they get their audience wrong, and they build a hotel that the owners want. Every owner wants to build a 5-star hotel for some reason, right? Not understanding that location cannot take a 5-star hotel. I do that in my work a lot. I advise owners what kind of hotel to build, how many rooms, how many outlets, what kind of staff to room ratio. And I see a lot of owners tell me that we don't want to waste time with that. I've already fixed up my mind. I already like this brand. I've already spoken to this brand. I want this brand.
So look, this is BLAAH BLAAH at STAAH, and we're here today with Hanley Chew from Space Hospitality, and the author of 3 great books, the Hotel Tales trilogy. Thank you for your time today, Hanley. Before you go, I'd just like to do a couple of rapid fire questions that you don't know what they are, and just be quick answers and just see how we go. So, Italian or French food?
Italiano.
Scuba diving or skiing?
Scuba diving.
Breakfast or lunch meetings?
Breakfast.
Now, as a musician, I'd be keen to get your feedback on this, and if you want to answer differently, feel free, but blues or rock and roll?
Rock and roll. I belong to that era.
You're not that old, Hanley. Okay, and lastly, Batman or Superman?
Superman.
Fantastic. Hanley, it's been a real pleasure chatting with you today. Thank you so much for participating in BLAAH BLAAH at STAAH. We really appreciate it, and thank you so much. And for those of you who are interested, Hotel Tales is the name of the publication that Hanley has, and if you Google it, I'm sure you'll find it. Fantastic reads and cheap as chips. Hanley, thanks again, and good luck.
Thank you, Kevin.